Part 1. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Becoming a Mother Without Pain at the Age of 18. Gu Si dragged her groggy body and rushed into the bathroom. She put her hand into her throat and vomited out the wine that Gu Chawiun had just drank. Her body was on fire and she finally felt better. She was reborn as an 18-year-old, and this was the night that changed her life. On the 5th day after the college entrance examination, Gu Chawiun and Lu Shijia got engaged. Tonight is their engagement ceremony. Lu Shijia is the eldest son of the largest plutocrat in City A. He has a high position, but he has a bloodthirsty sexual fetish. He has killed at least 6 women, and they have all been suppressed by the Lu family. Gu Chawiun did not want to get engaged to Lu Shijia, so during their engagement ceremony, she arranged for them to have drunken and bribed reporters. The next day, the scandal of Gu Si seducing her brother-in-law at her sister's engagement party will spread all over the world. She will be infamous, cast aside by everyone, and fall into the abyss. Gu Chawiun's plan is perfect. However, Gu Si was a ruthless person. When Lu Shijia wanted to force her, she stabbed him in the abdomen with a knife, causing him to have no descendants and become a eunuch. When reporters rushed in, she was holding a short knife, and Lu Shijia was lying in a pool of blood, dying. How could the Lu family just give up and take her to court? She was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The Gu family gave up the appeal, and her mother Lu Man viciously told her that she and Gu Chawiun had actually had their identities switched since childhood, and that Gu Chawiun was Lu Man's biological daughter. Gu Si stopped thinking about the past and walked out of the bathroom. She was no longer the 18-year-old Gu Si who had no strength. During her 5 years in prison, she learned to fight in order to survive. Lu Shijia was knocked unconscious by her as soon as she entered. Gu Chawiun, you are dead. She wanted Gu Chawiun to taste the consequences of reaping the consequences. Gu Si took Lu Shijia's phone, unlocked the face, and found Gu Chawiun's chat box. She took a brief look at the chat history, and sure enough she saw that Lu Shijia and Gu Chawiun were conspiring. Lu Shijia wanted Gu Chawiun's shares, and he also wanted Gu Si's. People. Scum. She sent a message to Gu Chawiun and asked her to go upstairs. 3 minutes later, Gu Chawiun pushed the door open with malice. The woman who was raped by Lu Shijia had a narrow escape from death. She couldn't wait to see what happened to Gu Si. The moment Gu Chawiun came in, she was thrown to the ground by Gu Si. Gu Chawiun screamed and her mouth was covered by Gu Si. Her eyes widened in horror. Why was Gu Si still awake? Ah! Gu Chawiun struggled wildly, and Gu Si raised his fist and knocked her unconscious. Just when Gu Si breathed a sigh of relief, the door was pushed open again. Gu Si's heart skipped a beat and she rushed to the door. No matter who came in, she couldn't let him see this scene. The person who opened the door was a 6-year-old cute baby, fair and cute, who looked very similar to Gu Si. He held a short knife in his hand. When he saw Gu Si, his cute peach blossom eyes widened. Ziyu. Mom, the little cute baby's voice was childish and confused. Gu Si was shocked. She was reborn to the age of 18. Why did she see her precious son? In her previous life, after 5 years in prison, her hands were ruined by Gu Chawiun, and she could no longer play the violin. Her face was ruined by Gu Chawiun, making her ugly. When she was at her most desperate, Lu Ziwen firmly protected her behind her and gave birth to a child. I met Gu Ziyu. After Lu Ziwen died, she also went crazy. Before she died, the person she cared about the most and felt the most distressed was her Ziyu. Ziyu. Tears burst out of Gu Si's eyes, and she hugged him tightly. She struggled to live, trying hard to protect him, but he was scarred. Her heart was cut by a knife, but she couldn't control herself. Baby, why are you here? Why Why are you here? Mom, let me protect you. Gu Zio looked at Gu Si intently, a beautiful and healthy mother whom he had only seen in photos. This is an 18-year-old mother. The most beautiful mother in the world, not the mother who was neither human nor ghost in her previous life. In this life, no one can harm her. He will be her patron saint. Gu Si also came back to her senses and looked at Lu Shija and Gu Jiuyun. This couple must pay the price. Gu Zio also felt the murderous aura in Gu Si. He hates it even more. Because of them, he lost his father when he was a child, and his mother suffered all her life. The tragedy of the family of three was all caused by them. Mom, don't get your hands dirty, they are not worthy, Gu Zio said indifferently. He took out a pill, dissolved it in the water, and drank it to Lu Shija and Gu Jiuyun. Soon Lu Shija and Gu Jiuyun's bodies felt like they were on fire. Burning with desire, making an uncomfortable muffled sound. Gu Si. Her precious son is 6 years old. Why does he know about this medicine? Killing them is just a temporary pleasure. I enjoy the process of them falling into the abyss just like what they did to my mother in the previous life. They tortured her and made her lose everything bit by bit. But he was young and immature, so he could only watch helplessly as they tortured his mother and him. Gu Si was heartbroken. In her last life, when she was crazy and confused, she would always torture Gu Ziu. Her precious son, you should have had a happy childhood. Supposed to be an innocent child. But he turned into a little devil. Mom, are you unhappy? Gu Ziu asked innocently and cruelly. Mom, are you afraid of me? Ziu will never hurt her mother. Gu Si wiped away her tears and restrained all her emotions. She stroked her son's young face and said, Mom, I just feel sorry for Ziu. Lu Shija and Gu Jiuyun were burning with desire. They rolled together like wild beasts, and soon made a blushing sound. Gu Si sneered, Gu Jiuyun, welcome to hell. She wanted Gu Jiuyun to have a taste of what it was like to be in hell. Gu Ziu took Gu Si's tablet, and when Gu Si took him out of the Gu family's mansion, he invaded the Gu family's surveillance system and deleted the scenes between him and Gu Si. 6-year-old Gu Ziu was already a feared hacker and a genius boy in his previous life. Mom, it's done. He raised his head and showed an unfamiliar but sweet smile to Gu Si, like a cute baby with a fake smile. Gu Si felt sad when she saw his smile. She had been crazy for 6 years and had almost never seen Gu Ziu's smile. This child was always as gloomy as a little devil in his last life. Baby, Mommy still has to deal with some things, please wait for me. Good. Gu Si turned around and returned to the Gu family mansion. 18-year-old Gu Si, with skin as fair as snow and picturesque features, is the beauty star among the socialites in City A. She is the daughter of Gu Wenliang, the chairman of the Gu group. Gu Wenliang's original wife Zhang Minjiao and her lover Lu Man became pregnant and gave birth to a daughter at the same time. Lu Man viciously exchanged the two children, and Gu Si was Zhang Minjiao's biological daughter. Zhang Minjiao passed away due to postpartum depression. Gu Wenliang married Lu Man 3 months after Zhang Minjiao's death. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. True and Fake Daughter of Gold. Lu Man doted on Gu Si since childhood and wanted to raise her to death, but also carefully cultivated Gu Jiuyun. Therefore, Gu Si is flamboyant, arrogant, and domineering, while Gu Jiuyun is as gentle as water, just like a flower that can explain words. Gu Jiuyun is also a popular new star in the violin world. She participated in a violin competition at the age of 14 and won the championship. Since then, her career has been bright and she has been praised as a genius violinist. Everyone said that Gu Jiuyun inherited Zhang Minjiao's violin talent and was a genius girl. She was known to form gangs and isolate Gu Si since she was a child, because Lu Man was a mistress and killed Zhang Minjiao. Gu Si was pointed at the spine and insulted as an illegitimate daughter since she was a child. Every time Gu Si would rush up and beat them. He is not easy to talk to, and his character is becoming more and more arrogant and overbearing. In the contest with Gu Chawyun, Gu Si never won, and his reputation was ruined. When it comes to Gu Chawyun, everyone praises her as a lady, gentle and sensible. When it comes to Gu Si, she is arrogant, domineering, and narrow-minded. She is indeed an illegitimate daughter and cannot be put on the stage. Xiao Si, why are you here? When Lu Man saw Gu Si, there was a hint of surprise and panic in his eyes. Wasn't she locked in a room with Lu Shijia? Gu Si sneered, if I weren't here, where would I be? Xiao Si, today is your sister's engagement party. Don't make trouble. Lu Man always felt that Gu Si had changed. She was arrogant, domineering and arrogant. As long as she loves Gu Chawyun, she can drive Gu Si crazy. This trick has been tried many times, but the Gu Si in front of her seems to be completely transformed, as beautiful as a rose with thorns. Can you be sensible? What is the occasion today and what are you making a fuss about? When Gu Wenliang heard Lu Man's words, he subconsciously blamed Gu Si. He had been like this since he was a child. As long as Gu Chawyun sheds a tear, it would be Gu Si's fault. Recently, Gu Wenliang heard rumors that Gu Si had a crush on Lu Shijia. She had always been coquettish and willful. Gu Wenliang was afraid that she would ruin the marriage, so he spoke in a particularly serious tone. Having a secret crush on your soon-to-be brother-in-law is so embarrassing. Gu Si, have you done something again? If you dare to destroy Chu Yun's engagement party, I will break your legs. Gu Yezu clearly favored Gu Chawyun. He would not allow Gu Si to take away Gu Chawyun's things. Everyone prefers the well-behaved and gentle Gu Chawyun. As soon as the guests heard about it, they started watching the play and gloating about the misfortune. I heard that Gu Si has a secret crush on Lu Shijia, but she couldn't get it when she asked for it. There will be a good show at the engagement party today. It's really shameless, that's her brother-in-law to be, why should she be so shameless? When did Gu Si care about face? It's a pity that Gu Chawyun has such a sister. She has been bullied since she was a child. What a stupid and poisonous illegitimate daughter, with such bad conduct. Who in the upper class would want such a daughter-in-law? She was really ruined by Lu Man. Not only did she bully Gu Chawyun, she even dared to bully Lu Ziwen, the third young master of the Lu family. No wonder, Lu Ziwen didn't come to the engagement banquet of the Lu family and the Gu family. Lu Ziwen hates Gu Si the most. Everyone was whispering and pointing at Gu Si. She was too familiar with this scene. As long as something happened to Gu Chawyun, everyone would naturally think that it was Gu Si who did it. Gu Si spread her hands and asked, what trouble did I get into? The guests also started gossiping, yes, what trouble did Gu Si get into again? Of course Lu Man couldn't tell what trouble Gu Si caused. She didn't see Gu Chawyun and was very anxious. Xiao Si, stop making trouble. Mom is very busy today. Have you seen your sister? Just as Gu Si was about to speak, Gu Chawyun's scream came from upstairs, Mom, save me. Lu Man's face changed drastically, and he looked upstairs in horror. The guests were shocked and gossiping. Lu Man ran upstairs crazily, screaming as he ran, Chu Yun, what's wrong with you? Mom is here, don't be afraid. Who would see the scene and not say hello stepmother? Guests and reporters also rushed up. Gu Yezu and Gu Wenliang were worried that Gu Chawyun had also gone upstairs. Gu Si lazily leaned aside and poured himself a glass of champagne. The show is about to begin. Upstairs, in Gu Si's bedroom, Lu Shijia and Gu Chawyun were rolling together. Gu Chawyun was wrapped in a thin quilt, and her exposed skin was covered with hickeys. The pear blossoms were covered with rain, looking like they had been ravaged. Lu Shijia's exposed chest was covered with scratches. Marks and bite marks showed how fierce the battle was. This scene was photographed by media reporters. Chuyun. Lu Man's heart was broken when he saw it, and he rushed over to hug her. What's going on? Lushija, how dare you? Lushija's eyes were sinister, and Gu Jiuyun was hiding in Lu Man's arms, crying heartbrokenly. If they weren't an unmarried couple, it would be a crime scene. Lu Man was glared at by Lushija and did not dare to say anything anymore. This was not their plan. The one lying here being abused by Lushija should be Gu Si. How could it be her daughter? Shut up, Lushija shouted. He had a splitting headache. How could it be Gu Jiuyun? Gu Jiuyun is the eldest daughter of the Gu family. She inherited 20% of Zhang Minjiao's shares. She is also Gu Wenliang's most beloved daughter and Lushija's best marriage partner. But compared to a boring wooden beauty like Gu Jiuyun, he preferred the wild and bright Gu Si. Gu Jiuyun had already planned to send Gu Si to his bed. The guests were all stunned, taking photos and videos with their mobile phones. The room was filled with the atmosphere of a man having with a woman. No one expected that the unmarried man and woman could not help but have before the engagement ceremony. In people's impression, the image of Gu Jiuyun, who is pure, noble, and reserved, suddenly collapsed. She is simply a lustful woman. This is so exciting. Damn it, big melon of the year, this is their engagement ceremony. How anxious are you to do such a thing? I didn't expect that the pure Gu Jiuyun would turn out to be such a lustful woman. Oh my god, my image has collapsed. She is my goddess. When Gu Yaezu saw that reporters and guests were all taking pictures, he drove them away angrily. Stop taking pictures, stop taking pictures, get out of here. Whoever dares to publicize what happened today, don't blame me, the Lu family, for killing you. Lushija's sinister eyes swept over everyone, including the media reporters. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. No one dared to offend the Lu family. Even if Lushija gave birth to an illegitimate son, he was now the eldest son of the Lu family and the general manager of the Lu family consortium, holding real power. Gu Wenliang also felt that he had lost face. How could his beloved daughter do such an unseemly thing? Everyone, please stop taking pictures. They are an unmarried couple. It is normal for them to be unable to control themselves for a while. He tried his best to make up for Gu Jiuyun and Lushija, but the guests thought this was weird. Gu Si sneered and asked, I heard you right, Gu Jiuyun was just calling for help. Gu Si, it's not your place to speak, shut up. Gu Wenliang was furious and spoke harshly, don't you think it's embarrassing enough? It is Gu Jiuyun who is embarrassed, not me. You. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 World Champion Lu Ziwen. Gu Si, it was you who framed me. Gu Jiuyun complained in a rueful tone, I was drugged and didn't know anything. It was you who liked Lushija and wanted to seduce him, but instead you harmed me. You are so cruel. Gu Yaezu looked at Gu Si angrily, Gu Si, it turns out you are the one who is causing trouble. Why are you so vicious? Chuyun has given you everything and protected you since childhood. Do you have any heart? Lu Man's eyes were also red. Lushija is a scumbag. The person who should be harmed by him is Gu Si. Gu Si, why did your sister offend you? Why do you want to harm her like this? Gu Wenliang raised his hand and slapped Gu Si, you evildoer, I should have strangled you to death in the first place. Gu Si grasped Gu Wenliang's wrist with a deep and heavy gaze. Gu Wenliang was startled and was thrown away by Gu Si. Gu Si looked at their family of four coldly. Gu Jiuyun and Lushija are unmarried couples who are in love. They can't help but sleep in the bed. What does it have to do with me? How could I harm her? Gu Chiyun, I didn't hear that you didn't like Lushija before we got engaged, so what could I harm you? When everyone heard this, they came back to their senses. Gu Chiyun and Lushija are an unmarried couple. They get together without caring about Gu Si's affairs. Why do Gu Wenliang, Lu Man, and Gu Yazu act like they've been bewitched and scold Gu Si indiscriminately? I like Lushija. Gu Si raised her chin arrogantly. Is he worthy? Lushija gritted his teeth and looked at Gu Si. He knew that he had been set up by Gu Si. He was knocked unconscious by Gu Si as soon as he entered the door. When he woke up, he and Gu Chiyun were already in a turbulent relationship. She has caused him to lose all face, and he must settle this debt clearly. Gu Si also saw the sinister look in Lushija's eyes. Gu Si, you are dead. Lushija looked at her gloomily. He always looked feminine, but now his eyes were even more frightening. Tonight, no one can leave. The Lu family's bodyguards rushed into the Gu family's mansion and took everyone under control. At this moment, the police siren sounded. Lushija asked angrily, who called the police? Gu Si raised her phone indifferently, me. Everybody. The upper class is full of human beings. Lushija has a very bad reputation. He has played with women to death and has eccentricities. No one is willing to marry their daughter to him. Lu Man is reluctant to let his daughter suffer. Gu Chiyun hates Lushija even more. Unexpectedly, she knows that Lushija is interested in Gu. Empress Si came up with a plan and wanted to cooperate with Lushija to plunge Gu Si into an abyss of eternal destruction. No one expected that Gu Si actually called the police. Someone drugged my wine tonight and tried to seduce a girl to have with me. I want a thorough investigation. Gu Si's voice was calm and indifferent. Everyone was in an uproar, but Gu Chiyun was trembling with fear and her face turned pale. Gu Wenliang shouted angrily, what nonsense are you talking about? Why don't you shut up? You will know what's going on if you check the surveillance. Can't check the surveillance, Lu Man screamed. She couldn't let Gu Chiyun's reputation be ruined. Mom, I was framed. Why didn't you check the surveillance system to find out who is your daughter? Gu Si asked coldly, and the guests also felt strange. Lu Man protected Gu Chiyun like an eyeball, but why was he so cold to Gu Si? Gu Si reported the crime, so it was natural to investigate. Many areas of the Gu family's surveillance were broken tonight, but unfortunately, the footage of Gu Chiyun and Lushija drugging Gu Si was preserved. Gu Si knew that Ziyu had done this. It's not me, it's not me. Gu Chiyun looked at the guests whispering, everyone was watching her joke, everyone seemed to be laughing at her. She looked at Gu Si's arrogant face, collapsed and shouted, and then fainted in Lu Man's arms. Pretending to be faint is what she is best at, and she has tried it repeatedly. Every time she pretends to be faint, Gu Si is disliked and misunderstood by others. Chiyun, Lu Man's heart was cut by a knife. Gu Si, why are you so cruel? She is your sister. Gu Si looked at them playfully, as if watching a farce. Really? Lu Man's heart skipped a beat. Gu Si's eyes were so unfamiliar. Although she was arrogant, she had always longed for her mother's love. How could she look at her with such cold eyes? Why? She couldn't possibly know the truth. She had never told anyone about it except Gu Chiyun. Gu Wenliang and Gu Yazu both gathered around Gu Chiyun. Everyone was worried about Gu Chiyun. She seemed like an outsider. Gu Wenliang looked at her angrily, Naijan, how could I give birth to a like you? Gu Yazu said, if Chiyun has 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, I will never let you go. In her previous life, Gu Si would always be stung by such a scene. She had felt that Gu Chiyun had taken her mother, her father, and her brother away from her since she was a child. Even though she was her biological child, why did they all like Gu Chiyun? She was always competing with Gu Jiayun for her father. Damn love. Looking at the scene now, she felt no emotion at all. This home made her suffocated and disgusted. Gu Ci left the mansion. Gu Ziyu destroyed all the surveillance systems in the Gu family that were detrimental to Gu Ci, leaving only Gu Jiayun's evidence of guilt. He hacked into the Gu family's security system, monitored them from beginning to end, and always protected Gu Ci. Ziyu, why did you come through time travel? Gu Ci was confused. She couldn't explain the matter of being reborn. Ziyu coming through time travel was even more bizarre. I don't know either, but I'm very happy to be able to protect my mother. Gu Ziyu's smiling peach blossom eyes were innocent and cruel. Mom, after you died, I helped you get revenge. No one who hurts you can escape. Gu Ci felt sour in her heart. She hated Lu Shijia and Gu Jiayun even more, and even more hated Gu Wenliang and Lu Man. They were the origin of all tragedies. Gu Ci calmed down her emotions and said, let's go, Mom will take you to find Dad. Asterisk. City A, the sun is shining brightly and the sky is clear. The World Formula One Finals is being held at the Global Sports Center, with huge crowds of people and loud cheers. Racers are vying for this year's championship, and the competition is fierce. In the stands, fans were screaming the names of the racers and even opened banners to support them. Lu Ziwen, come on. Lu Ziwen, win the championship, win the championship. As long as you care about F1 events, Lu Ziwen's name must be familiar. He is the most dazzling star racing driver in the world. He started to rise to prominence at the age of 12 and participated in various campus competitions. He began to appear in the F1 field at the age of 18. In all the competitions that Lu Ziwen has participated in, champions never fall by the wayside. This is one of the most expensive sports in the world. This is also the sport that most challenges the limits of technology and human beings in the world. Every racing driver is a warrior. Lu Ziwen will win again this year, and he will be the world champion for 3 consecutive times. He is still the youngest world champion. He ranks first in qualifying and race points. He is an absolute genius. He is also the heir to the Lu family chaebol. What kind of winner is he in life? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. My dad is Lu Ziwen. In the stands, Gu Ci and Gu Ziyu were crowded in the crowd, looking at Lu Ziwen on the field with fascination. The young Lu Ziwen was the light in everyone's eyes and the most dazzling man in the world. He makes all women go crazy for him, including Gu Jiayun. She never knew why Gu Jiayun hated her so much and wanted to ruin her appearance, destroy her hands, and make her a human being. She didn't know until later that it was because Gu Jiayun loved Lu Ziwen. And Lu Ziwen has been secretly in love with her for 10 years. When she was isolated by everyone and felt that the whole world had abandoned her, there was a handsome young man who had been secretly in love with her for 10 years. For her, he gave up his inheritance rights. When she lost her hands, was disfigured by Gu Jiayun, and fell into the abyss, she resolutely take her under your wings. In the end, in order to protect her, he died with others. But when they were young, he and she were always at odds with each other. Lu Ziwen always called her stupid, scolded her for being a bitch, insisted on trying to please Lu Man and Gu Wenliang, and always scolded her for not being weaned. Why did she have to worry about whether her parents loved her or not? Those words that hurt her, when spoken in the harshest words, always hurt her. She was like a hedgehog, showing off its thorns, killing each other along the way. It wasn't until they fell in love that she understood how distressed he was. He felt so sad when he saw her stumbling around longing for emotions that didn't belong to her. Mom, we are not very gregarious, Gu Ziyu said softly. Gu Ci came back to her senses. In the stands, the audience was shouting Lu Ziwen's name crazily. She and Gu Ziyu were special. They were too quiet. The 6-year-old boy next door shouted Po Yin, not to mention how excited he was. Gu Ziyu, on the other hand, was as indifferent as a doll, looking at the field with such aloofness. Gu Ci pondered for a moment. The key is, you don't look like a baby. Gu Ziyu raised his eyebrows. Gu Ci chuckled and said, baby, you haven't seen him yet, be cute. Gu Ziyu blinked and looked at the child beside him who shouted so excitedly, cute. He nodded, Mom, I understand. The next second, Gu Ziyu was like a wild horse that had escaped the reins. Small body, big voice. Dad, come on, come on, come on, kill them, win the championship, wow, accelerate, accelerate, accelerate in the corners, pass it, yes, 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 kill him, great, my dad. On the field, Lu Ziwen overtook at a curve and led the way, causing fans to shout and scream. Gu Ziyu was even more excited than the fans, and his face turned red. Gu Ci. Audiences. Gu Ci silently distanced herself from Gu Ziyu for a short distance. Baby, you're a bit scary to your mother. Gu Ziyu tilted his head and smiled sweetly, am I cute? Gu Ci. Baby, although you are the cutest in the world in the eyes of your mother, but, you are really not suitable for being a cute baby. Kid, is your dad also an F1 racing driver? Yes, yes, the most handsome one is my dad. Gu Ziyu boasted about his dad without hesitation. The girl is a fan of Lu Ziwen, nonsense, the most handsome one is Lu Ziwen, and the championship is also Lu Ziwen. My dad is Lu Ziwen. Gu Ziyu put his hands on his hips, his face full of pride. Fans. Gu Ci's voice was helpless and funny. Gu Ziyu, he is 20 years old this year. He could not give birth to a 6-year-old son. She fell in love with Lu Ziwen after she was released from prison in her previous life. When Gu Ziyu was born, she was 25 years old and Lu Ziwen was 27. Gu Ziyu calmed down, his father was not of legal age for marriage yet. Ha 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 ha, Lu Ziwen is also my father. In the past 3 seasons, every time he played, I would kneel down and call him daddy. He was so awesome. Gu Ziyu put his hands on his hips angrily, arranging his music in a noble and cool manner. Humph. Gu Ci couldn't finish what she said. Gu Ziyu tilted his head and asked, does this look like a 6-year-old baby? Gu Ci was suddenly silent. On the field, Lu Ziwen was locked in by 2 people from another team. On the last lap, he tried to overtake and almost collided. With his big heart, Lu Ziwen kept his balance. Lu Ziwen's eyes were full of fighting spirit, bright and hot, like the scorching Sunday Lihuo, that is the proud Lu Ziwen. For 20 years, he has stood at the top and is a well-deserved pride of heaven. He crossed the finish line first and was the champion again. He won consecutive races this year and was the overall champion. The whole audience cheered and screamed into the sky. Gu Ziyu's eyes are bright, he can play a 6-year-old child. He hasn't seen his father yet, alive. Mother knows that he is a little devil, and he has to make his father think that he is a cute baby. After Lu Ziwen took off his helmet, he revealed a handsome and open face, with picturesque eyebrows, gorgeous and eye-catching. It was a classic work of Nuwo when she created humans, and everything was perfect. Handsome in appearance and flamboyant in temperament, he looks like a boy in a hot-blooded comic book. He is also a legend in the history of F1 racing. Born with a silver spoon in his mouth, he is the only heir to the Lu family plutocrats. He suffered many disasters before he was 3 years old. He was critically ill several times and his body was extremely weak. Doctors all concluded that he would not survive until the age of 18. The young master of the Lu family won his first prize. The year he won the world championship, he suffered a fracture during training before the game and almost couldn't play, but he lived his life as a legend. Gu Ci led Gu Ziyu and ran backstage. Lu Ziwen's security captain Li Zhang was very surprised to see Gu Ci. Miss Gu, Are you here to watch the third young master's game? Why don't you follow him? Gu Ci frowned. Early this morning, Gu Ci called Li Zhang and asked him to follow Lu Ziwen. Li Zhang said, San Shao likes to be alone after the game. Seeing Gu Ci's panicked expression, he hurriedly asked, Miss Gu, has something happened? Gu Ci ran all the way to the lounge. 6-year-old Gu Zia couldn't keep up with her and looked at Li Zhang coldly, follow me. Li Zhang felt a chill in his heart, and before he had time to think about why he should listen to a child, he rushed out honestly. As soon as Gu Ci arrived at the door, she heard the voice of racing driver Sean, invite Gu Ci out tonight. You are responsible for getting her drunk. When the rice is cooked, she will be my girl. She's just a little girl, are you so obsessed with her? I just like her, she's wild and spicy. After I've played with her, you can have fun too. Several racing drivers laughed. Gu Ci narrowed her eyes, filled with anger. Just as she was about to open the door, she heard Lu Ziwen's voice. Sean, you are looking for death. Gu Ci kicked open the door and saw Xiao An being punched to the ground by Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen's eyes were cold and bloodthirsty, and he punched Xiao several times. Sean was the runner-up in this competition. He was strong. After receiving a few punches, he picked up the small bronze statue in the lounge and threw it at Lu Ziwen. The other racers were stunned. Lu Ziwen, Gu Ci was startled and rushed over to block Lu Ziwen. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Rivals are also childhood sweethearts. The fragrant fragrance rushed to his face. Lu Ziwen stiffened and looked at Gu Ci in his arms in shock. Li Zhang followed closely and pulled out an iron rod to hit him. Just when the small bronze statue was about to hit Gu Ci, Xiao An was hit by the iron rod. It hit his wrist, the bronze statue fell off, and he fell to the side. Li Zhang immediately notified the security team. Gu Ci, Lu Ziwen came to his senses, his face was ashen, but before he could curse, Gu Ci hugged him and cried out his name, Lu Ziwen, I miss you so much. Lu Ziwen. Longing and sadness swept over her, and she seemed to have had a nightmare that she would never wake up from. The moment she hugged him, this nightmare finally woke up. She was crazy for 6 years and missed him for 6 years. Lu Ziwen clearly heard Gu Ci saying that he missed him, and murmured to himself, what a good day is today. Gu Ci, why are you here? Sean didn't expect that Gu Ci would come and stand in front of Lu Ziwen. He was shocked and jealous. Aren't they mortal enemies? Lu Ziwen glanced at Sean, and he didn't know what he was thinking of. A hint of sinisterness flashed across his always smiling peach blossom eyes, and it disappeared in an instant. He smiled lazily and wantonly, Gu Ci, say it again. Gu Ci looked at him intently. The 20-year-old Lu Ziwen had a youthful spirit, unparalleled elegance, arrogance, and dazzling. There was deep longing and attachment in her eyes. Lu Ziwen, I miss you so much. Lu Ziwen. He didn't hear it, it was real. Lu Ziwen raised his hand and covered her forehead, extremely confused, I don't have a fever. Sean wanted to pull Gu Ci, but Lu Ziwen, with his sharp eyesight and quick hands, picked up Gu Ci with one hand and protected him behind him. As a racing athlete who has been training for many years, his arm strength is amazing, and an untimely thought occurred to him. Gu Ci's waist is so thin. Gu Ci, I'm Sean, do you remember? Sean looked at her eagerly. On the racing track held by the university this year, Sean fell in love with Gu Ci at first sight, and his confession was rejected several times. Gu Ci finally knew why Lu Ziwen fought with Sean after he won the championship in his previous life. In her previous life, Lu Ziwen had a conflict with Sean after winning the championship, and was hit on the head by Sean. She was imprisoned for 5 years, and Lu Ziwen was also in a coma for 5 years. After her marriage, she asked Lu Ziwen why she and Sean were fighting, but Lu Ziwen was extremely taboo and refused. Lift. Turns out, it was to protect her. Get out, Gu Si frowned in disgust and spoke concisely. Sean was startled and guessed that Gu Si heard what he said and hurriedly explained, that was my joke. Li Jiang, Lu Ziwen was furious. Li Jiang, who was eating melon next to him, quickly led people to take Sean and several racing drivers out of the lounge. Gu Zia was leaning at the door and saw Li Jiang looking over and giving him a look. Sweet smile. Li Jiang's feet went weak and he almost knelt down. This cute little kid started laughing. Why is it so scary? Uncle Li, long time no see. Gu Zia's voice was childish and innocent. Li Jiang was confused. Young master, do we know each other? Gu Zia smiled and said nothing, and the security guards took the cursing Xiao En and others away. Gu Zia hooked his fingers, and Li Jiang squatted down obediently. What's wrong? That guy named Sean, break his legs. Gu Zia said the cruelest words in the most harmless voice. It was this Sean who caused his father to be in a coma for 5 years in his last life. Otherwise, my mother would not suffer in prison. Isn't this bad? Li Jiang hesitated. Is this what a child should say? Baby, you look thin, small, and cute, are you so murderous? Are you questioning me? Gu Zia narrowed his passionate and romantic eyes. I dare not. Li Jiang never dreamed that he would give in front of a 6-year-old cute baby. Asterisk. Gu Si eagerly wanted to tell Lu Ziwen everything, but as soon as she thought of this thought, her heart felt as if a hand was grabbing her tightly, causing suffocating pain. Gu Si, Lu Ziwen's expression remained unchanged, as if he was about to have a myocardial infarction. Lu Ziwen hugged her and put a hand on her back. Take a deep breath, don't be nervous, I'm here. The warm and familiar breath enveloped her, and Gu Si's eyes were filled with Lu Ziwen's eyes. She held his hand tightly, almost leaving a red mark on his wrist, but could not say a word. Why? Why can't she tell Lu Ziwen everything? Lu Ziwen picked her up and strode away. Li Jiang was very surprised when he saw Lu Ziwen coming out with Gu Si in his arms, and hurriedly reminded him, "Third young master, the award ceremony will start soon." Lu Ziwen seemed not to have heard anything and carried Gu Si up to the top floor. Gu Zia followed closely behind. What happened to mother? Li Jiang had no choice but to follow up. Gu Si was indeed more important than winning the championship. Gu Zia was like an invisible person, silent until Lu Ziwen found him. Gu Zia met his eyes and looked over, giving him a sweet smile, soft and cute. What would his father say to him? How should he greet his father? But Lu Ziwen had no interest in children and didn't like them no matter how cute they were. He thought it was the child brought by Li Jiang and looked at Gu Si intently after taking one look at it. When Gu Zia met his father for the first time, he typed the draft countless times. I thought about what to say as the first sentence for a long time, but unexpectedly my father ignored him. Gu Zia pondered gloomily. Was his smile not sweet enough? Isn't he cute? There is a 78-story building on the east side of the Global Sports Center. The top floor is Lu Ziwen's home. Gu Si lost control of his heart rate along the way and was in extreme pain. The doctor could not find anything wrong. Lu Ziwen's eyes darkened. Li Jiang, prepare a car and go to the hospital. Yes. Gu Si held his hand. As long as she gave up telling Lu Ziwen the truth, she would not feel the pain. Gu Si looked up at him and said softly, I'm recovering. You have a heart disease, how come I didn't know? Lu Ziwen's tone was unkind, but Gu Si looked greedily at his appearance when he was young. The unruly Lu Ziwen was a hidden pain in her heart. Gu Si hesitated to speak, not knowing how to explain, I don't have a heart disease, I just ran too fast and felt uncomfortable. Lu Ziwen breathed a sigh of relief, and then scolded her with a bad attitude. "Why are you running in such a hurry? Do you want to be reincarnated?" Guzio squinted his eyes, and a flash of darkness passed by. In his heart, anyone who dares to say a harsh word to his mother is his enemy, even his father. Lu Ziwen's impression in Guzio's heart fell to the bottom instantly. Gu Xi chuckled lightly, her eyes were reddish. This familiar tone and attitude were indeed her nemesis. In fact, it was no wonder that she couldn't tell that Lu Ziwen had a crush on her. Because in front of her, the eldest young master never loses his temper. Lu Ziwen took out a can of cherry juice from the refrigerator and threw it to Gu Xi. Gu Xi was surprised that this was the brand she loved to drink. However, Lu Ziwen was an athlete and quit sugar and juice, but the cherry juice she loved to drink was always in the refrigerator. Even if she had never been to his house. "Hey, dear girls, meet again with the new book. I hope everyone likes my new daughter and new son. Love you guys." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. You have a dual personality. Lu Ziwen, his name is Guzio. Gu Xi unscrewed the cap of the bottle and gave the cherry juice to Guzio, because he also liked to drink it. This habitual gesture was endearing and sweet. Lu Ziwen looked at Guzio again. "I think this little milk bag is a bit annoying." Guzio made up his mind to play the role of a cute baby, once again showed a sweet smile, and shouted innocently and cutely, "Hello, brother." Gu Xi. Lu Ziwen took a serious look at the little cute baby for the first time. She was white, tender and cute, and looked very lovable. "Little Nabeo, I think you look familiar." Guzio smiled and twisted his peach blossom eyes. "Brother, our eyes look exactly the same." "It's a bit like him, his eyes were like his, but his face was like Gu Xi's." Lu Ziwen had a strange feeling in his heart. He felt very friendly inexplicably. "By the way, Gu Xi, are you here to see me for anything?" "Li Jiang, take me around first." Yes, Li Jiang was obedient and led Guzio out. Lu Ziwen looked at her with a half smile. "Miss Gu Er, you are very good at commanding my people. Don't you feel uncomfortable wearing this?" Lu Ziwen was still wearing a snow-white competition uniform, which was very restrictive. Lu Ziwen said, "Wait for me." He entered the cloakroom and wanted to change into casual clothes and come out, but the boy in the mirror had his hair soaked with sweat. He had just finished the game and was sweating. Lu Ziwen looked a little annoyed. He had just been in front of Gu Xi. This ghostly look. Gu Xi asked him to change clothes. Did she dislike him? Lu Ziwen took a deep breath and entered the bathroom. Gu Xi was walking around casually in the living room. Lu Ziwen became famous at a young age and had an unruly personality. However, the decoration of his home was in a frigid and minimalist style. The wall cabinets in the living room were full of racing models and his trophies. Gu Xi looked at each certificate curiously. He was the champion harvester. Suddenly, she saw a familiar box, a small plastic silver-white box, containing an electronic watch that had been broken for a long time. This was Gu Xi's birthday gift to Lu Ziwen when he turned 15. That day, she was surrounded by Gu Chuiyun and others outside the campus. Lu Ziwen rescued her and shamelessly asked for payment. Gu Xi coldly bought a digital watch worth 20 yuan on the roadside and gave it to him. In the evening, she was left alone at home. The nanny said that Gu Wenliang and Lu Man took Gu Chuiyun and Gu Yazu to the Lu family to attend the third young master's birthday party. That electronic watch was actually the birthday gift Lu Ziwen asked for. At the bottom of the box is a stack of greeting cards, all of which were cards given to him by Gu Xi when he was a child. These inconspicuous things are placed together with his championship trophy, which is unexpected and unique. Idiot, an indescribable numbness hit Gucci's heart. Even after so many years, she still hadn't figured out why Lu Ziwen liked her. And like it for so many years. But why didn't you tell her? Secret love is a journey without an end. Flowers bloom and fall along the way, and no one knows about it. From the time she was released from prison, to her marriage, until Lu Ziwen's death, she never heard Lu Ziwen say I love you. She even doubted whether Lu Ziwen liked someone and used her as a substitute. But who would risk their lives for a substitute? Don't touch my things. Lu Ziwen's voice came from behind with a ray of cold wind. Gu Si turned around and put down the electronic watch. Lu Ziwen took a shower, changed into white casual clothes, and even blow-dried his hair. He came out feeling refreshed. She said, I gave this to you. Are you planning to go back? Gu Si took a deep breath, confused and at a loss. Lu Ziwen was always so hot and cold, and uncertain, which made her unpredictable. Gu Si chuckled and said, you can say something more. I want them all back. Lu Ziwen was silent, clenched and then unclenched his fists, took out a can of her favorite cherry juice from the refrigerator, and changed the subject very naturally, would you like to drink juice? Drink. Gu Si suppressed a laugh while Lu Ziwen brought over the cherry juice again. You came to me, what's the matter? Gu Si didn't mince words, can Gu Ziu and I stay at your house for a while? No, Lu Ziwen blurted out. There was silence in the living room, and Lu Ziwen's expression was dark and unclear. Gu Si was very surprised. After she was released from prison, she struggled to survive alone. Lu Ziwen wanted her to live in his house and tried every means to create various conditions to force her to agree. Why did he refuse when she took the initiative to live together? It's because 20-year-old Lu Ziwen doesn't love her as much as 25-year-old Lu Ziwen. Or is it because men like women to refuse but don't like women to take the initiative? Okay, I understand. Gu Si put down the juice and said no more. She looked at Lu Ziwen intently, with nostalgia, reluctance, and sadness as if she had met him countless times in dreams. The sudden separation of life and death made her heartbroken, and it also made her understand one thing, things in the world are impermanent. There is no long pavilion on the ancient road, no urging you to drink another glass of wine, it is just a morning like usual, and some people will stay in yesterday forever. Her eyes were so sad that Lu Ziwen felt inexplicably sad. He liked Gu Si's smile. When she smiled, flowers bloomed in his heart, and he quietly held it in front of her eyes, hoping that she would laugh for another 10,000 years. He couldn't bear to see Gu Si sad. Lu Ziwen stood up and stood in front of her, with a rare flash of panic in his eyes, which passed quickly. I have a house in Binjiang. You can live there at any time. Gu Si looked at him silently. There is also a villa in Guanlin Bay. Lu Ziwen saw that she was still silent. You don't like it? Then I can buy any house you like. Gu Si chuckled and asked, you can reach for the stars and the moon for me, but you won't allow me to live with you, right? Gu Si, do you know something? Lu Ziwen glanced at the box on the wall uneasily. He calmed down and explained, I am very nostalgic and have a collecting habit. You don't think too much about it? Gu Si felt suffocated and felt cold all over. This was how it felt to be rejected by the person she loved. She fell in love with Lu Ziwen 5 years later, and she forgot that the 20-year-old Lu Ziwen was in front of her. Lu Ziwen, do you like me? Lu Ziwen looked into Gu Si's eyes steadily. If he wanted to see the depths of her soul, the undercurrents in his eyes were turbulent, but they calmed down in an instant. He spent all his life's strength to suppress his racing heart. No. Like someone and being rejected, it turned out to be such an embarrassing feeling that it seemed to destroy all her courage. Growing up, I gave you 6 cards and a digital watch. You collected them together and placed them next to your first championship trophy. You are an athlete and give up sugar and juice, but there is always something I like to drink in the refrigerator. Cherry juice, even if I have never been to your house. Then, you tell me that you don't like me, Goosey Eye laughed, so, you have a dual personality, and it's another person who likes me, right? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 I like you. Fart, Lu Ziwen had a stress reaction as if he had been stepped on. As someone who always paid attention to his image in front of Goosey Eye, he blurted out a curse word, I don't have a dual personality. Goosey Eye raised her eyebrows, did you miss the point a lot? Lu Ziwen saw her confusion and quickly calmed down, why do you want to come to my house? Because I like you and want to pursue you, the first thing I want to do is get the moon. Goosey Eye said the most sincere words nonchalantly, even if she had just been rejected by Lu Ziwen. Years of fantasy, once it came true, the overwhelming ecstasy rushed him up into the clouds, and then he fell down hard. A heaven, a hell. Goosey Eye, this is not funny at all. Lu Ziwen looked at her deeply, restrained and forbearing, don't make fun of me on this matter. Okay, Goosey Eye said helplessly, then I'm leaving. Lu Ziwen grabbed her wrist tightly, his voice trembling slightly, Goosey Eye, why? Goosey Eye didn't know why, what? Growing up, we were childhood sweethearts, but we broke up a year after I was 10 years old. You never gave me a good look again. If you weren't kidding. Why do you like me? Which one? Moment, there was paranoia in his eyes that no one could understand. It does not matter. It's very important, Lu Ziwen held her wrist tightly. He bent his back almost humbly, like the most devout believer of the gods, begging for mercy, it's very important to me. The alarm bells blared in Goosey's mind, as if she answered wrongly, she could defeat Lu Ziwen and make him fall into the abyss. Goosey Eye carefully hid her love, I was joking. Lu Ziwen gritted his teeth, Goosey Eye. You hurt me. Goosey Eye reminded him. Lu Ziwen let her go in a hurry. Goosey's skin was white and delicate. He was a racing athlete and his hands were very strong, so he always hurt her unconsciously. Lu Ziwen stared at the red marks on her wrists, feeling extremely annoyed. After all, he is a man who can lift Goosey Eye up with one hand. Lu Shija has been a little annoyed recently. I'm afraid he will cause trouble for me. It doesn't matter if I'm alone. I also have Goosey Eye by my side, so I want to come and stay with you for a while. Goosey Eye is not a shy person, since you don't. If you want, forget it. That's it? If not. Lu Ziwen was furious, then tell the truth, why are you making such a joke? Goosey Eye hesitated, Lu Ziwen, I'm not kidding, I really like you. She naturally felt that they were in love, but who knew that reality slapped her in the face. I am leaving. Li Zhang happened to be bringing Goosey over. Lu Ziwen watched Li Zhang follow Goosey respectfully, which seemed so abrupt, as if the prince was patrolling the country with his exclusive eunuch. Hello, brother, Goosey greeted Lu Ziwen with a bright smile. Lu Ziwen nodded coldly. Goosey sensitively noticed that something was not right about the atmosphere, but did not say anything. Goosey Eye said goodbye and took Goosey away. Li Zhang watched them leave and couldn't help but ask, Third young master, you didn't keep Miss Goosey Eye. Why stay? Li Zhang was surprised, I took the young master for a walk, and he said that from today on, he will live here. The attitude was very natural, as if he never thought that Lu Ziwen would refuse. Throughout the whole process, he was just a general leading the prince on a tour of the country. He didn't dare to breathe, as if he had met the mistress. Why did you call him young master? Li Zhang was at a loss, I just called it that naturally, otherwise what would it be called? Lu Ziwen. Li Jiang did not dare to delay and recounted what happened at the engagement party between Lu Shijia and Gu Chuiyun last night. Lu Ziwen's eyes were cold and sinking to the extreme. Li Jiang took a deep breath and said, "Fortunately, Miss Gu Ci was smart and escaped without any serious injuries. Today is the finals, and I didn't want third young master to be distracted, so I didn't have time to tell you." Lu Ziwen was furious and his eyes were sharp. Li Jiang continued, "The chairman has blocked the news. After all, it is a scandal. The Gu family has also withdrawn the alarm record. No one dared to mention it at the banquet. Lu Zi, the chairman of the Lu family Chabal, was a non-marriage person. Later, he met the actress Lin Ji and pursued her madly. He forcibly married her and gave birth to Lu Ziwen. But before Lu Zi met Lin Ji, he was a celibate man with countless women. One of them, Su Tingting, an 18th-tier star, also gave birth to Lu Shijia and Lu Shixiu. Lin Ji had a strong temper and was hot-tempered. After learning the truth, she divorced in anger. He went overseas and never returned to City A. When Lu Ziwen was 8 years old, he died in a car accident abroad. Since then, the relationship between Lu Ziwen and Lu Ziyi has been on the same level. Lu Ziwen is Lu Ziyi's only heir, but he is unwilling to inherit the Lu group. Lu Ziyi has no choice but to train Lu Shijia. Now a lot of power of the Lu group is in the hands of Lu Shijia. Lu Shijia wanted to get the Gu stock in Gu Chuiyun's hands, so why did he do such a stupid thing at the engagement party? Let's find out the whole story. Lu Ziwen's voice was extremely cold. The idea came to Gu Ci's head. "I think he is tired of living." Yes, Li Jiang's heart skipped a beat. The third son of his family devoted himself to racing, established a global sports center, and had his own racing team. It was the most profitable racing team in the world. He didn't care about the Lu family Chabal, but it didn't mean anything to him. Do not know at all. He just doesn't care about brothers Lu Shijia and Lu Shixiu. Gu Ci is his only opponent. Li Jiang said, "Third young master, Miss Gu Ci called me early this morning and asked me to keep looking at you, as if I knew you were going to fight Shan." Lu Ziwen walked around anxiously. Gu Ci wanted to stay at his house for a while because she wanted to avoid Lu Shijia. She had never been favored in the Gu family. She couldn't look back at home. Where else could she go? But Gu Ci lives in his house. What if she knows his secret? Li Jiang gritted his teeth and said, "Third young master, there is something I think you need to know." Lu Ziwen's brows were full of anger. "Li Jiang, do you not want to do it anymore? How could you hide so many things from him?" Li Jiang's scalp was numb and his speaking speed increased. "Third young master, I'll have Shan's legs broken." Lu Ziwen's anger gradually subsided, but he still had a cold face. Li Jiang had to explain, "I didn't want it either. It was the young master brought by Miss Gu Ci who wanted to break his legs. I obeyed the order inexplicably. It's all mine. If you make your own decision, I will be punished." "Well done, I'll give you 3 times the year-end bonus." Li Jiang's tight strings loosened and he jumped wildly on Lu Ziwen's baseline. "Third young master, do you still need to break his hand?" Lu Ziwen. Li Jiang was in a happy mood. He didn't expect to get a windfall. If he had known it would be 5 times as much if he had broken it off together, it would have been rash. "Don't push yourself too far." "I was wrong, third young master. Being flexible, and flexible is a compulsory course for working around third young master." He didn't want to serve such a hot-tempered master, but he gave him too much. In the next chapter, the third young master slaps himself in the face and begs his wife and son to live together. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 8. Chapter 8, Ruthless Cash Machine. Lu Ziwen was too lazy to pay attention to Li Jiang. He seemed to have made up his mind and rushed out of the door. Gu Ci was silent all the way, and Gu Ziu had a gloomy look on his face. His father made his mother angry. People who make their mothers angry are very annoying in this world. Mom, why did Dad reject you? Gu Ziyu asked. Gu Xi tapped the steering wheel lightly with her fingers. Dad is an athlete and usually has to train, and he was 25 years old when he and his mother fell in love. Now he is only 20 years old. We are not familiar with each other, so it is normal for him to be rejected. Gu Ziyu is very smart, and lying to him is the stupidest thing. She can only tell the truth, but she maintains Lu Ziwen's image. Uncle Li Zhang said that Dad has liked Mom for many years, so why should he refuse if he has a crush on you now? Secret love is a self-carnival. Maybe my father has too much self-esteem and doesn't want us to know. Gu Ziyu's small head was filled with big question marks. Mom is very willing to live together. He likes you, so he should welcome you. Gu Xi was about to say something but stopped, unable to continue editing. Baby, to be honest, your dad doesn't like Mom yet. Ha, Gu Ziyu was very angry. He really has no taste. Mom, you don't like him either. Gu Xi chuckled, then there will be no baby. It doesn't matter. That's not allowed. Gu Xi glanced at Gu Ziyu, who was possessive and unhappy. In order to have a baby, you have to like your father. Gu Ziyu's gloomy face became bright and bright with excitement. Really? Yes. Gu Ziyu's joy was visible to the naked eye, and the smile he always pretended seemed to have warmth. Gu Xi's heart was so soft that it was so easy for the little baby to be satisfied. Gu Ziyu knew that he was not as important as his father in his mother's heart, but he was already very satisfied when his mother occasionally lied to him. He would not be stupid enough to ask his mother who was more important, him or his father. A sports car roared past and stopped on the roadside, forcing Gu Xi to stop. Gu Xi rolled down the window, and the filter she had for Lu Ziwen in her previous life was almost broken. Lu Ziwen, are you sick? Gu Ziyu thought to himself, beautiful. The more Mom hates Dad, the closer he will be to the number one spot in Mom's heart. Lu Ziwen got out of the car and said, I regretted it. You and I can come and live here. Asterisk. Lu Ziwen brought Gu Xi and Gu Ziyu back to the Global Sports Center and arranged them downstairs. The downstairs was also a flat floor with a similar decoration style. Lu Ziwen said, you can live there, but the terms of the offer are governed by 3 chapters. Gu Ziyu's score against Lu Ziwen fell from the bottom of the valley to the abyss. With a fake smile on his childish face, he felt that playing the role of a cute baby in front of his father might test his acting skills. Your son and his wife live in your house, and they still have to make a 3-part agreement. You are really awesome. Gu Xi nodded, you said it. Lu Ziwen said, the competition period has passed, and I have to start training. You live here and can't affect my daily training. Of course, Gu Xi raised his eyebrows. This was inevitable. Lu Ziwen was an athlete, and no one could affect his daily training. Training, Lu Ziwen didn't need to talk about it, she knew it too. She also wanted to see Lu Ziwen in high spirits on the track. In his last life, he was in a coma for 5 years. Later, she, who was physically and mentally disabled, took up all his energy, and he never touched a racing car again. My schedule is different from others. I train at night, Lu Ziwen said without changing his face, so, don't go to the attic at night. Do whatever you want during the day. Okay, Gu Xi asked, what else is there? You can't bring outsiders to your home, Lu Ziwen said calmly, unless I agree. Okay, Gu Xi thought this condition was too normal. She thought Lu Ziwen would put forward such harsh conditions. I know Lu Ziwen very well. Racing drivers are all big-hearted, and Lu Ziwen is no exception. He has a firm will and decision. Once he makes a decision in his heart, it is difficult to change. Therefore, when Lu Ziwen refused her to live here for the first time, she did not explain, Lu Ziwen, why did you change your mind? I have known you for so many years, and I know your bottom line. Li Zhang thought to himself, Miss Gu Si, you are the bottom line for third young master. This kind of thing happened at Gu Chuiun's engagement party, and you can't look back at home. Should you be left on the street? After all, we grew up together, and we can't ignore death. Gu Si chuckled, those three good young men will do their best to the end and give them some living expenses. Lu Ziwen fell silent suddenly. He asked Gu Si with a half smile, Miss Gu Er, since when did we have such a rude relationship? I will pay you back. Gu Zio's desire to win came out inexplicably. He could afford to support his mother by himself. Lu Ziwen couldn't help laughing when he looked at the young man's ambitious face. He took out a black card and gave it to Gu Si. That's not necessary. After settling them, Lu Ziwen took Li Zhang away. Today Lu Ziwen won the championship, and there were many celebrations for the dynasty team. After he left, Gu Si took Gu Zio to go shopping. Gu Zio had very low materialistic desires, but wanted the most high-end electronic equipment, which cost more than 4 million for a set. Gu Si looked at the black card given by Lu Ziwen suspiciously. What should I do if it's maxed out? Is Dad so stingy? Gu Si silently handed over the black card. Lu Ziwen glanced at the consumption reminder on his mobile phone at the event, raised his eyebrows slightly, smiled fondly and sweetly, and felt a little inexplicable, you're really welcome. Gu Si bought 5 million worth of electronic equipment for Gu Zio in one go, and the two of them went to buy some daily necessities, clothes, shoes, etc. Gu Si enthusiastically dressed up Gu Zio and specially selected big brands to buy, in a gentlemanly style. Casual style, cool guy style, all matched by Gu Zio. She has a posture of not giving up until her black card is maxed out. Mom, I'm not going out, why do I buy so many clothes? So, go out more often in the future. Gu Zio. You are Lu Ziwen's son, so it's only natural that you spend his money, right? Gu Zio had no choice but to pamper Gu Si and let her satisfy her shopping desires. When mother and son passed by Longfeng Tower, Gu Si was amazed by a set of red cloud gauze cheongsam in Longfeng Tower. The slim-fitting stand-up collar was made of rare top-quality red cloud gauze, and the skirt was decorated with large embroidered roses, which were lifelike. Gu Si fell in love at first sight, and even felt a heartbeat. Gu Zio said, Mom, you are Lu Ziwen's wife, his money is a matter of course. That makes sense. Gu Si raised her eyebrows, sooner or later she will be his wife anyway, so it doesn't matter if I enjoy my rights in advance, right? Let's go. Gu Zio pulled Gu Si into Longfenglu, a high-end clothing brand. The owner is Ji Sun, an internationally renowned designer. A set of haute couture makes women all over the world flock to it, and Longfenglu is also the favorite of celebrities. If A-list stars want to wear Longfenglu's haute couture, most of them borrow it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 9. Chapter 9. The little devil slaps you in the face. The clerk Xiaomei came over and greeted Gu Si with a smile on her face. They all had snobbish eyes. Gu Si was wearing a t-shirt and jeans worth hundreds of dollars, but she had a pretty temperament. Gu Zio next to her looked like she was either rich or not. The little prince raised by your noble family stood there with one sentence written all over his face, I am very noble. I want to try on this cheongsam. Gu Si pointed at the cheongsam. Okay, wait a moment. Xiaomei hesitated for a moment and ordered someone to take down the cheongsam for Gu Si to try on. Gu Si and Gu Zio were waiting nearby. Unexpectedly, Gu Chuiun and several little sisters were also in the store. Gu Si, you actually came to Longfeng Tower, Chen Ying covered her mouth and smiled with contempt. Their high-end gifts start at 3 million, are you rich? Gu Chaoyun stood in the crowd holding the moon in her hands, smiling gently and without saying a word, letting others humiliate Gu Si. Gu Si's face was slightly cold and she remained silent. The clerk Xiaomei knew at a glance that they had a conflict and had a headache. What she was most afraid of was that the ladies from aristocratic families would fight in the store, and no one could afford to offend them. Some people just don't know themselves and don't look at their own status. How does Longfeng Tower do business? They let in all kinds of cats and dogs, which simply lowers our grade and taste, drive Gu Si out. The little sisters next to Gu Chaoyun also shared the same hatred. Gu Si, be smart and get out of here. Why did you enter the Dragon and Phoenix Tower if you don't even look at your identity? Gu Si looked at the group of women with deep and dark eyes, mockingly. The clerk Xiaomei was also embarrassed and hurriedly informed the store manager. Gu Zio's young face was shrouded in a gloom, secretive and ruthless, too young and chubby and cute, lacking in intimidation, so he coldly dialed a phone number. Gu Chaoyun said arrogantly, Gu Si, this is indeed a place you can't afford. You'd better leave obediently and don't bring shame on yourself. Gu Si felt irritated and asked Xiaomei, does Longfeng Tower still sell these clothes? Xiaomei is in a dilemma. Gu Chaoyun is a violinist who is popular all over the country. The little sisters around her are either rich or noble, so they can't afford to offend her. However, Gu Si's magnanimity is not something she can offend. Most importantly, she felt that Gu Si would be as beautiful as a fairy wearing this cheongsam. Who doesn't like beautiful ladies? Gu Chaoyun was slightly displeased. The clerk was really blind and didn't look at his face at all. I bought this cheongsam. It's just an order. Your commission is indispensable. The store manager came in a hurry. Her name was Anna, and she was the store manager of Longfenglu. Anna, where did you recruit such an ignorant clerk? In order to lower our style with commission, I sold this cheongsam to Gu Si today. We will never buy clothes from Longfenglu again, Gu Chaoyun threatened. What you lost, it's not an order. Xiaomei felt aggrieved and did not dare to say anything. Anna couldn't afford to offend Gu Chaoyun, so she said to Gu Si with a tough attitude, Miss Gu Si, I'm sorry, this cheongsam was designed by our boss and is not for sale. Dragon Phoenix Tower does not sell it. Please leave. Gu Si sneered and took out Lu Ziwen's black card. I'll ask again, will Longfeng Tower sell the set of cheongsam? Anna's attitude was arrogant and contemptuous, but when she saw the black card, her face changed drastically, and she suddenly broke into a cold sweat. Why do you have this black card? Gu Si looked at her indifferently and mockingly. Before she could speak, the cell phone she had been talking to Gu Zio switched to a video call, and an indifferent voice came. Anna, you've been fired. The voice of Ji Suan, the owner of Longfeng Tower, was like a wind blowing across the ice field. Gu Zio held his cell phone and slapped Anna in the face. Gu Si looked at Gu Zio in surprise. 10 years later, Ji Sun was the leader of the Black Hawk Group. He was a dark king who was decisive in killing. Today, he is still a young man who is not familiar with the world. Ziyu is now in contact with Ji Sun. She also didn't expect that Longfeng Tower was actually Ji Sun's shop. Ji Xian's handsome and cold face appeared on the screen. Anna was shocked and frightened. Old boss. I was wrong, I'm sorry, I didn't know Miss Gu Si had a black card. I go to the Human Resources Department to collect the compensation, Ji Xian said indifferently. Xiaomei, from now on, you are the store manager of Longfenglu. Things like this will not happen again. The pie fell from the sky and landed on the head of Xiaomei, who had just started working. She was stunned. Fortunately, she had received training and was able to hold on. Yes, boss. Why? Qiao Yamei screamed. She has always admired Ji Xian. He is mysterious, handsome, and standing at the top of the pyramid, but he is a woman's dream wardrobe. Gu Si is obviously not worthy. I am your loyal fan, a dragon, and a phoenix lose VIP, you can't betray us. Ji Sweru heard some joke, I can sell the clothes I design to whoever I want. Gu Chawiun just said, if I sell the Cheongsam to Miss Gu Si, you will no longer buy clothes from Longfeng. If as you wish, Xiaomei, put them on the blacklist and Longfeng Tower will not do their business. Yes, Xiaomei is already the store manager, and her back is straightened. Gu Chawiun, Chiao Yamei, Chen Ying, and others had red eyes. Wearing clothes from Longfeng Tower was a sign of being a wealthy lady. How could Longfeng Tower blacklist them? Mr. Ji, please calm down first. Where did we offend you? Gu Chawiun asked warmly. Gu Zio sneered and turned the phone around. Ji Xian saw the little milk bag on the screen. After being surprised, he smiled as warmly as the wind. Little milk bag, are you satisfied? Well, Gu Zio said, I'm very satisfied. Say hello to your sister for me, Ji Xian said gently, this is the first Cheongsam I designed this year, I hope to meet its owner one day. Gu Zio never let Ji Sun see Gu Si from beginning to end. Ji Xian hung up the phone and ignored the calls of Gu Chawiun and others. Xiaomei came forward sincerely and cheerfully, Miss Gu Si, let's try on the Cheongsam. Gu Si nodded and followed Xiaomei to try on Cheongsam. After she entered the fitting room, Xiaomei came over and took back all the clothes that Gu Chawiun and others had just looked at. Mrs., I'm sorry, you have already gone to the dark room of Longfeng Tower list, please leave, including Anna. Gu Chawiun glared at Gu Zio fiercely, who is this kid and why can he invite Ji Sun? Gu Si is obviously a powerless Cinderella, why does he have a black card? Who are you? Gu Chawiun asked angrily. Gu Zio smiled slightly, innocently yet cruelly, my name is Gu Zio, your nightmare. Gu Chawiun, the others, and Anna were politely but forcefully invited out by Xiaomei. Gu Chawiun was humiliated and hated Gu Si so much that she asked Anna, whose is that black card? Anna had a grimace and complained about Gu Chawiun. If she had known that Gu Si and Lu Ziwen knew each other, she would not have offended Gu Si. But now she has lost her job. She said angrily, it's Lu Ziwen's. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 10. Chapter 10 Gu Si and Gu Ziu. Gu Chawiun was shocked, jealousy and anger intertwined in her heart, she clenched her fist tightly, hatred spread. Gu Si, you deserve to die. Asterisk. Gu Si and Gu Ziu returned home with their loads, and the boxes were hauled to the Global Sports Center one by one. They looked like they were going to live there for the rest of their lives. Lu Ziwen actually laughed when he saw this attitude. Third young master, Miss Gu is really good at buying things. Li Jiang was amazed. A Cheongsam cost 15 million yuan, electronic products 5 million yuan, and some odds and ends. Is it a lot? Lu Ziwen said, you hinted to her tactfully, buy whatever you want. Li Jiang looked at Lu Ziwen with difficulty, Miss Gu Si treats you like a cash machine, do you need any hints? Third young master, you are really a licker, spending a lot of money to make beautiful women smile, you are so stupid. Gu Si and Gu Ziu returned to the Global Sports Center in the evening. When the lights were on, only Li Jiang was waiting for them downstairs. He had arranged for people to hang all Gu Si's clothes in the cloakroom and arrange them properly. All electronic products were carrying it to the study room, he had never seen many electronic products. Where is your third young master? Li Jiang smiled and said, Third master, oh, third young master is training. Gu Si didn't notice Li Jiang's slip of the tongue. Gu Ziu counted the electronic products. Li Jiang asked, Young master, do you need my help? I don't know if it was Gu Si's misunderstanding, but she felt that Li Jiang was a bit of a loser to Ziu. Although Ziu was young in the previous life, he was a legitimate young master and extremely coercive. She could understand Li Jiang's words and follow his advice. In this life, Gu Ziu to Li Jiang, he is just a baby, how can you be such a loser? No need, Gu Ziu said calmly. Okay, I'll go upstairs first, Li Jiang said. Miss Gu Ci, if you have anything, please call me. The third young master will be training in the evening, so the phone is not around. Okay, I understand. Gu Ci remembered something. Li Jiang, what is the upper limit of this black card? There is no upper limit, Li Jiang smiled implicitly. Miss Gu Ci, the third young master said that you can spend whatever you want. He has plenty of money, and it doesn't matter if you buy a house. Gu Ci. She didn't believe it. It was Lu Ziwen who said this. After all, Lu Ziwen swore that he didn't like her. They had been fighting each other since they were young and had not yet fallen in love. Gu Ziu's score for Lu Ziwen quietly increased by 1 point from the abyss. In the Gu family, Gu Chuiyun heard from the private detective that Gu Ci and Gu Ziu lived in the Global Sports Center and were taken in by Lu Ziwen. She was so angry that she smashed all the bottles and cans on the dressing table. Gu Ci, how dare you go to Lu Ziwen, how dare you? Gu Chuiyun's face twisted with hatred. Lu Ziwen is hers. It's hers. No one can take it away. She will kill anyone who dares to covet him. Asterisk. At the Global Sports Center, Gu Ci helped Gu Ziu take out all the parts from the box. Gu Ziu assembled them skillfully. He bought 6 50-inch displays and hung them on the entire wall. Gu Ci watched her son assemble it skillfully and asked Gu Ziu, Ziu, how did you contact Ji Sun? His phone number hasn't changed, Gu Ziu said calmly. Sooner or later he will be mine, why don't I exploit him earlier? He hasn't joined the Black Hawk Group yet, has he? In his previous life, the Black Hawk Group was the world's largest chaebol group, involving finance, real estate, artificial technology, and biopharmaceutical fields. It dominated one area and was an existence that no one could offend. Lu Shiji, the ability to defeat Lu Ziwen was also due to the support of the Black Hawk Group. After Lu Ziwen's death, Gu Ziu supported Ji Sun to seize power when he was 5 years old. Gu Ci passed away on the night Gu Ziu supported Ji Sun to seize power successfully. Mom, I haven't looked at you all night. Gu Ziu looked at Gu Ci quietly, without resentment or sadness. You don't want me anymore. Gu Ci was stung by Gu Ziu's eyes. Her Ziu had gone through so much hardship and sorrow to have such a dead look in his eyes. Ziu, I'm sorry. You saw me doing bad things. I'm not the good son you think of, so you don't want me. Gu Ziu's eyes were like cold pools in late autumn, biting to the bone, and he asked what he had hidden in his heart. Puzzled. No, Gu Ci felt sad. She stroked Gu Ziu's face, with tears in her eyes. She gently pulled up Gu Ziu's shirt. This was a fact she had never dared to face. Gu Ziu, his chest and back were densely covered with scars. It is evidence that she hurt Gu Ziu. Mom really can't control herself and always hurts Ziu. My existence seems to be your nightmare. That night, I knew that you and Ji Sun succeeded, and no one can hurt you in the future, except me. So I was thinking that you would live better without your mother. I couldn't control this thought, so I left you. Gu Ci looked at Gu Ziu's quiet eyes. Her heart was cut with a knife. Ziu, Mom didn't want you, Mom is just sick, can you forgive Mom? I don't blame Mom. Gu Ziu clumsily wiped her tears quietly. Mom, are you recovered? Gu Ci nodded, took her son's cold little hand, put it to her lips and kissed it. Then don't leave Ziu behind again. Absolutely not. Gu Ziu thought to himself that he should quickly become strong and become his mother's protector. Although he hated that his father would always occupy the first position in his mother's heart, he would protect his father well. As long as his father was fine, his mother would not get sick. Gu Ci said softly, Ziu, Mother loves you. Gu Ziu was startled and looked at her in shock. He even forgot to disguise his smile. This was the first time he heard Gu Si say that he loved him. It was the love he had never been able to ask for in his previous life. Because after my father died, my mother went crazy. In Gu Zio's eyes, her mother only loved her father and not him, so she abandoned him cruelly. Gu Zio shouted crazily in his heart that his mother was lying, that she didn't love him at all, but when he looked at Gu Si, he smiled, sweet and soft, I love my mother too. Mom is lying, she doesn't love him, but it doesn't matter, as long as he loves his mother. Gu Si had nightmares at night, dreaming about her previous life. She was sitting on the balcony with disheveled hair and a dull expression. Outside the yard, people sent by Gu Chaoyun and Lushija were watching them. Her face was scratched, with two thick and ugly scars running through her cheeks, and the backs of her hands were covered with ugly scars. The little Gu Zio came up with a bowl of sugary water and fed her slowly. While feeding her and telling her stories, Gu Si showed no reaction at all and looked dull. Suddenly, a strange sound of music came from the room. The music stimulated Gu Si's nerves and she became hysterical and crazy. She knocked over the bowl in Gu Zio's hand and beat Gu Zio crazily. If she wanted to vent her anger, she beat Gu Zio to a head and a deep cut on his back from the broken bowl and chopsticks. But Gu Zio made no sound at all. His face was pale and he looked at the unconscious Gu Si sadly until the music in the room stopped and Gu Si gradually calmed down. She saw Gu Zio lying in a pool of blood. Rushed over to hug him, roaring angrily and helplessly, Gu Zio, who was covered in blood, quietly and gently wiped her tears. Mom, don't cry, Zio won't hurt. End of this chapter.